It was a cold evening in late November. The kind of evening where the wind cuts through your coat, and the sky seems too heavy to hold the rain any longer. The city buzzed with people rushing home, umbrellas battling the wind, car lights shimmering on the wet streets. But in the corner of that chaos, under the dim glow of a flickering street lamp, sat a girl drenched, shivering, and crying. Her name was Emily. She was only 16, but life had aged her in ways no one could see. Her long brown hair clung to her face like fallen leaves to wet pavement. Her arms wrapped tightly around her knees, not because she was cold, though she was freezing, but because she had nothing left to hold on to. The rain poured harder. People passed by her, barely noticing. Some glanced but kept walking. Others turned their faces, pretending not to see. That's how the city was. Fast. Distant. Everyone had somewhere to be. No one had time for a crying girl in the rain. Emily had run away from home the night before. Her stepfather had screamed at her again, slammed the door in her face, and told her she was nothing. Her mother had stood there silent, afraid, broken. Emily had packed a small bag with a sweater, some money she saved from babysitting, and an old photo of her real dad, the only man who ever told her she mattered. She hadn't eaten all day. Her stomach was tight with hunger and fear. Her phone battery had died hours ago. She didn't know where to go or what to do. Her eyes stung from crying, and her fingers were turning pale from the cold. And that's when he appeared. No one saw where he came from. One moment, Emily was alone, and the next, a figure stood beside her. He was tall, wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. His face was partially hidden by the hood, and he didn't speak a word. Just knelt down beside her quietly, as if the storm around them had parted just to make space for him. At first, Emily flinched. She was afraid. Alone. Vulnerable. But something about his presence didn't feel threatening. It felt calm. Safe. Like a warm blanket on a cold day. He didn't ask her name. He didn't demand answers. He simply took off his hoodie and placed it over her shoulders, shielding her from the rain. Emily looked up at him, her lips trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. Still, he didn't speak. But he nodded softly, then extended his hand. She hesitated. What choice did she have? Stay in the rain, or follow a stranger who felt less like a stranger and more like a silent promise? She took his hand. He walked with her slowly, his steps gentle, never rushing her. He led her to a small cafe tucked between two buildings, the kind you'd miss if you blinked. It was warm inside, filled with the smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon. The lights were soft, the music quiet. The barista, an older woman with kind eyes, greeted them without surprise, as if she had been expecting them. He guided Emily to a corner table, took off her wet coat, and handed her a cup of hot chocolate. She wrapped her fingers around the mug, the warmth bringing her back to life. She looked up to thank him, but he was gone. Startled, she turned around, scanning the cafe. No sign of him. Just a small note on the table. You are not alone. You are stronger than you think. Believe in tomorrow. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time, they were different. Not the tears of pain or fear. But of hope. Of being seen. For the first time in days, she felt like someone actually cared. The barista walked over and sat beside her. He sends people here sometimes, she said softly. Young ones like you. Lost ones. Lonely ones. I don't know his name. Nobody does. But he always shows up when someone needs him the most. Emily stayed there that night. The woman gave her a warm meal, dry clothes, and a blanket. They talked for hours. Emily told her about the fights, the pain, the silence at home. And the woman just listened. No judgment. No pity. Just understanding. By morning, the rain had stopped. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting golden light on the wet streets. Emily stepped outside, breathing in the fresh air. For the first time, she didn't feel afraid. She felt ready. She returned home later that day. Her mother opened the door with swollen eyes, her face pale with worry. Emily didn't say a word. She just hugged her tightly. And her mother broke down. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I should have protected you." It wasn't perfect after that. Healing never is. But it was a beginning. Her stepfather left weeks later, and her mother began therapy. They started rebuilding their lives slowly, brick by brick, tear by tear. Months passed. Emily never saw him again. The silent angel in the rain. But every time it rained, she looked outside with a small smile, wondering who he might be helping now. Years later, Emily grew up and became a counselor. She dedicated her life to helping young people who felt lost, just like she once did. And in her office, there was always a cup of hot chocolate ready for anyone who needed it. Just like that night in the cafe. One rainy evening, a teenage boy walked in. Soaking wet. Eyes filled with sadness. Emily looked at him, handed him the cup, and said, "You are not alone. You are stronger than you think. Believe in tomorrow." And the circle continued. Because sometimes, the angels in our lives don't need wings or halos. Sometimes, they don't speak at all. They just show up when you need them, and remind you that even in the rain, you are never truly alone. And maybe, just maybe, we can become angels for someone else, too.